Welcome back to Knitting Keeps Me Sane with Dr. Say Knitter, and I'm Dr. Say Knitter. And it's been quite a while since I recorded last, back in October actually, and so much has gone on since then, and I have some finished objects to show you, and some new works in progress. But sort of a preface of all that, because the last video that I recorded was in October, and I only just recently published that because I was having some problems with the video, and I didn't resolve it. I've got a couple ideas that I could maybe try to go back and fix it, but I'm kind of tired of it now. At one point in the video from the previous episode, the audio and video get out of sync and don't stop until a new clip is inserted toward the end, and it's really annoying. But in the source video that I uploaded, it was fine. There was no problem. And every time I uploaded it, no matter how what sort of resolution I uploaded, it always went out of sync at that same spot, no matter what I did. So I'm just gonna leave it where it is, and we're just gonna move on. So we're going to start with finished objects, and then we'll do works in progress, and then I'll have a little life update. So welcome along for the ride. You want to say hi? No? Okay. Okay, so the first thing that I want to show you are some fingerless mitts that I did. Yeah. You want to hold it? You want to show? Hold it? Oh, my band-aid. Yeah, I've got a little owie on my thumb. Yeah, but I'm okay. Yeah, so these fingerless mitts are lambing mitts by Veronika Jobe, and I used Ravenswood Fiber Co. Their worsted Aran weight. Yeah, it's got a garter stitch on the edge. So I knit these so that I could knit outside and get whatever lasting fall knitting time that I could. And so I use this colorway, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. To the Moon and Back is what it's called, which, you know, any parent will tell you is like the best colorway. Hi. Sorry it's blown out. We're just having a really sunny day. Okay. So this is what this is, and so I can fold it down as well and leave my fingers a little more exposed. I never sewed this hole up. It just doesn't bother me, and it still keeps me quite warm. And so there's one, and then the other, and so I've actually, yeah, did I fold it down? I'll put it on, yeah. So I've actually been using these this spring on, so as we get a little bit warmer weather, it's nice to be outside, but like we're even expecting snow again this weekend, which is a little bit ridiculous, but whatever. It is what it is, right? But it does mean that for knitting outside, which I like to do, and look at the gorgeous view, these mitts help a lot. So that my fingers don't get quite so cold. Is that right? Mm-hmm. So these were a very fast knit, and I enjoyed it immensely. And I can see that they're really practical for like winter days inside when I haven't turned the heat up yet, and it's kind of cold sometimes in the mornings, and I can wear that until the sun heats up the room. But it took me, I started October 29th and ended it and finished it October 30th. So I did one fingerless mitt per day, you know, using an Aran worsted. It took no time at all, and it's such a squishy yarn. And honestly, if you haven't tried Ravenswood Fiber Co. Yarn, highly recommend it. They're one of my new favorites of like all time. So squishy. The colors are just absolutely vibrant, but not like neon, but they do have neons. I just don't like neons. So anyway, their yarn is just really squishy, and the colors are just quite luscious. So even this tonal, which it's looking quite blue on the screen to me, but it's much more tealy. So maybe you can see there a little bit. So it's got like a garter rib, like a faux rib in there, and so that made it very easy to follow. The thumb with gussets was easy and fast. So this was just a really nice, quick knit, and I use it quite a bit, and I really like it. So the next thing that I finished, there's Evie, yeah, is actually called Dog Star, and I knit it for a friend's baby. And I knit the 6 to 12 month size, and I'll insert a picture here. And so I mailed it off to her before taking, a fully finished photo. So I hadn't woven in all the ends, and I hadn't seamed up the underarm, but that's the photo I have. And honestly, it's a really nice pattern, and I knit it out of Norwegian wool. It's a DK, so it went really fast. Go ahead, just do like this so you can see. And I had bought these colors just because they have a girl, and they like more neutral colors. And just in case they have any other children, a boy could wear this just as well, but it's still bright and festive, and very, it's the first time that I've knit anything for them and I wanted to kind of show off some of the color work, and they live somewhere where it's going to get really cold in the winter, and they have lots and lots of snow, so the nice Norwegian wool is going to be, the Rowan Norwegian wool is going to keep the baby nice and warm. So I finished that, and that took a while because I put it aside for some other projects. But that I started it September 10th and finished it November 3rd. So a month and almost 2 months. And really I could have finished it probably if it were my only project, I probably could have finished it in a week or so. But I was having some stockinette burnout on the navy because I'm not a big fan of navy, and so getting myself to knit navy was painful. But anyway, so that is Dog Star, and I did enjoy that final product. And the color work pattern, you can adjust for different numbers of colors that you if you want to use. So there's some room there for individual creativity, and so I would recommend this pattern. Okay, so the next sweater that I don't have with me because it's in the van and I don't feel like going out and getting it. So I'm a little lazy today. It's not lazy. It's just under child, huh? Yeah. But I'll insert a picture here. And it's called Teeny Geena Sweater. And I do have a picture of, this was the take-home outfit for little Evelyn, and that's our newest baby. Yeah, I'll talk about her in the live section. Yeah. So I used this is leftover yarn from one of the Sophie scarves that I knit for friends. Oh. And yeah, that's the variegated, and then the teal was another one. So both of those were Sophie scarves, and these are leftovers. And I basically just barely had enough But I really wanted both of those for Edie, and it worked out great. And the construction is a little bit unusual, doing the top-down raglan with the different colors. Let me show you the construction here. Here's one of her pictures from Ravelry, and you can see here that you switch yarns going back and forth. And yeah, so that was an interesting construction, and I definitely enjoyed it. And I could definitely see doing an adult version for myself. So the yarn that I used for that, one of them was a Norah George Merino DK, and the other one was a WIPyarns cashSOCK, which is a fingering weight, and I held that double. That was the teal, and that was called Teal You're Ready Peacock Blue. And the Norah George yarns, the variegated colorway was called Peacock, so it was like they were meant to go together. So the next project that I worked on, and I have it here. Baby, can you scoot so I can show my sweater? Can you scoot over? Here. There we go. Sit next to me. Whoopsie. That's my tea, and I'm going to take a little sip because I'm thirsty. Tea, yeah. So, this was a knit along from Uknit Toronto. This is the Dream Sweater, and I used the kit from Uknit using the Blue Sky Fibers Woolstock worsted. And this is the first time that I ever used that yarn, and I really loved it. It starts out a little scratchy, but then after washing and blocking, it is butter soft. It is really nice. It just says 100% wool. It is not superwash, and it's beautiful. So I used the color Midnight Sea, and then, which is a dark gray, blue gray green, and sort of a neutral gray. And so I started this. Oh, I didn't say when I started. Well, it had like I think it was like a November 15th start date, I think, and then a December 15th or 13th end date, and I finished it on the 12th. So this is the Dream sweater, and I absolutely love it. I wear it all the time now. So you can see the garter. Well, it's kind of hard to see, but there's like a little garter line here to mix up the pattern so that it's not straight stockinette. And then you've got, my hair's all over it, then you've got some short rows in the back so that it raises up the back, and then you've got the color work along here, like it looks kind of like pine boughs or something. And so you probably notice sort of a theme here. I did the stole as a knit along, and then I did this Dream sweater as a knit along, and all of this really, you know, was like goal oriented and gave me some oomph for working on it, and I really enjoyed having those deadlines. And then I've been wearing this. So this is the 44, the size 44, but it ended up being 45 inches, I guess. So I've got a few inches of positive ease, but it looks a little more oversized, I guess, than it is. I'm not entirely sure how it's as roomy as it is, but it's a little bit oversized. And I've actually worn it out to the playground and worn the baby underneath, wearing a lightweight carrier, and then I put the sweater on over both of us. And so I did that when she was just 3 weeks old, I think. And she loved it in there. She was cozy, and it was cold. but she was comfortable. So this sweater was really nice, and now I want to do some more colorwork sweaters. So I actually have ordered some more yarn of this. I did this in December. I ordered some more of this yarn in a different color to do another sweater, but that's future me. So that's not something I'm going to worry about right now. So the next the next finished object is Evie's baby blanket. Now this is crochet instead of knitting. That's right, E. And so this is just, I had a shell stitch and I just went with it. And I had a bunch of purples of Ravenswood Fiber Co. and purples and blues. Yes, is it pretty? So purples and blues and bluey purples. And it's kind of showing up a little more. So, okay, that's okay. So there are purples and blues and bluey purples and dark periwinkles. So basically I just started out with one color, worked it till it was done, and then I started the next color. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 colors, and I just used them up. I finished wherever I finished and started wherever I started and just kept going. And then I just did a simple single crochet along the edge to make a finished edge on that. And we come here, there you go. And we used that with her coming home from the hospital, so that was really sweet. So that was just a little thing. Let's see if I said anything else. Oh, so I guess I used the baby seashells blanket by Michael Sellick as sort of the basis for it, but I think I made some modifications that I don't remember now. But anyway, so I used that as the basis of it. And this photo that I'll put up here, you can see the color changes a little bit better than you saw it on the screen. But those were Ravenswood Fiber Co., the worsted Aran base, in colors that I was pretty sure I was not going to use for anything else, because they were single skein. So unless I was just knitting her a ton of baby stuff in, all of these very similar shades of purple, it was not going to get used. And my original couple of baby blanket ideas, I just wasn't loving it. I just sort of Frog Pond Fiesta, kind of like the beginning of last year. I just wasn't loving those ideas. So I thought, okay, I need something fast. And I didn't want to go out and buy any more yarn. I wanted to use stash, and I had this in stash with no plans, and it just came together perfectly. And I just really like it. So all of my other best laid plans just really didn't work well. And this, I really enjoy this. We've used it a lot with her. It's mostly now a car seat blanket for when we go out. But initially we used it a lot even at home. So there's that. Ma'am. So the next thing I knit, I actually so this one, yeah, it's called, Warm Little Toes by Kristina Tyla. I hope I said that right. And this took me, I don't know, very little time. I can do a pair in a day with very limited knitting time. But this is adorable. It doesn't immediately fall off her feet, and she's a little toesies escape artist. And they're just adorable, and they come in a bunch of different sizes, and it is DK. It is, so this yarn is called Dude by Schmutzerella Yarn. So it's a variegated green black with a bit of a smattering of purple. Smattering of purple. I don't know if you can see that right there, that little bit of purple, but it's gorgeous. And that's a fingering, and I held it double for the DK that this pattern calls for. And it's adorable. It's adorable. Yeah, is that a cute sock? Yeah. Do you like it for Evie? For E? He's not talking to yeah. E, there you go. So I finished that. Next thing is called Short Notice. And it is by Taiga Hilliard. Taiga Hilliard. I'm having trouble with my mouth today. And I actually have not woven in the ends. Again, this is a stash buster. And you can see I had even more Ravenswood Fiber Co. purples in their worsted Aran base. So this, here we go. Yep. This is here, and the buttons will come down this side. And they're sort of rolling. So again, I have not wash and block this because I am going to be doing the buttons. Now here's where things are going to get interesting with the buttons. Here, Scoot baby, let me grab these little baggies. Alright, sorry for that. So I have trouble finding any buttons that I like, and I have for years, and so I've decided to try making them myself. And you can see these little rings here. You can wind yarn or thread around them and do intricate designs, and it's called something that I've forgotten, but I'll put it here. And you can do your own decorative buttons, which also means you can replace them if you need to. And then you can make them fancier for anything that needs fancier buttons. You can make it a little more simple if the sweater calls for it. So you can really personalize it, which is good. I had been ordering buttons from Germany, which were really nice and good quality, but I got tired of ordering buttons that I thought would work, and they came in and they were beautiful, but maybe they weren't quite right for whatever reason. So I'm just gonna make some of these, and my first trial is going to be with this sweater called Short Notice. And so it is a finished object in that the knitting is done, but the finishing touches are not done. I just haven't done it yet, but the size that I knit is for this coming fall. I knit the size 9 to 12 months. And so she'll have a nice warm sweater for that. So I'm looking forward to her wearing that. So those are all of my finished objects, including my almost finished object. So that's what I've been working on. So here we are. I'm next going to talk about, hey baby, love you. Next I'm going to talk about my works in progress. And so I have one huge work in progress that I am going to finish in the next couple of days, that I've been love you sweetie, that I'm very excited to finish. This is the Stockbridge by Ysolde Teague, and the yarn I'm using, I don't have it written down there. Here it is. It's Granite State Yarns in the Sacred Heart colorway. And I started knitting this June 9th of last year, which is a long time for this to be on the needles. But it's a fingering weight held singly not double, so it takes a while to knit. I've knit the body completely.
I love the yarn.
You love the yarn. Here's the left sleeve. Here's the right sleeve. Ah. There you can see the color. Ah. And I've knit the left button, the button band, and it's a round yoke, a round neck sweater.
Wow.
Yeah, round neck. So I need to knit the button band for the right side, and then pick up the stitches around the neck to finish that, which should not take long. The left side worked up in a snap, the right side will too, and then the front. So I'm also going to be working on making buttons for that as well. The yarn is just spectacular. It's a fairly simple sweater. It does have, I knit it with the shaping. You can probably see here a little bit that, if I can do that, that it comes out and in and out again. And so I did do the waist shaping, and I did knit it with 0 ease, so it'll be a more form-fitting sweater. And I am really looking forward to having this done for spring. It's going to be fantastic. I will have it done before Easter, actually, which is exciting. I'm gonna make sure to make those buttons, and we'll see how that goes. So, very excited to finish this. And next sort of big project that I'm working on, that has been getting, I have some other works in progress here on my Ravelry queue that I'm not addressing because if I haven't worked on it, or it's like a scrappy project, I'll just update that periodically. But like my scrappy projects, I'm just not going to update every time because it'll just look the same to you. So the next thing that I've worked on that I'm really excited is my favorite blanket knit with the Bakery Bears. And I just started the 4th section. Here it is. So here, and it's scrunched up on the needle, so it's a little bit hard to see. But you probably recognize at the bottom that green from the socks, the baby socks. Well, so I'm holding 2 different strands of fingering weight double as it calls for in the pattern. And, hey babe. And I'm using stash. And this is a big stash busting project. And I'm trying to, hey babe. Do you want a graham cracker too? Go ahead. I'm trying to use up stash, but trying to make it represent the month that I'm knitting. So this one, the other yarn was something that it was just unnamed yarn that was gray and white. So that was the evergreens of the Pacific Northwest with snow and gray skies and snow. So that's what our Januaries look like when you look out our window, is green and white and gray. But I think it's beautiful, and you can see the effect there is quite beautiful. So now February is here. You can see that down there. So I used more of this colorway, but then I changed the second colorway that I was using because each section uses 50 grams or less of a fingering weight for each color. So it's essentially 1 skein of yarn if you just held 1 skein double, or half a skein of each of 2. And so I used the rest of that second skein in the next month, and then the leftovers I made socks. So with this one I used I think it was some sort of work in progress yarn, WIPyarns, some sort of red and pink variegated yarn with the evergreen. So the evergreens are there because that's what we see, but then I had the reds because February for Valentine's Day, and I really enjoyed that. So then next up was March, and in March you have, the buds start forming on the trees, and little flowers, little light colored flowers start popping up out of the ground, and you start having bits of blue sky. So here is that for March, and you can see little bits of blue, and it's got light yellow, light purple, yellow greens for all the new foliage starting to come up. So
love that yarn.
Oh, I'm glad you like it, babe. And I don't even remember what these yarns are. A lot of them are either leftovers, or I had started a project and never finished. So yeah, and then these next two that I have started, one is periwinkle sheep, and the other is hi baby, is what is the name? Black Trillium. So the variegated is Black Trillium, and so this is for April. And then this is periwinkle sheep. What is that? Okay, we're good.
Gum.
Yeah. Okay. So so again with the evergreens, and now also with some very Eastery colors. I've only got two rows of it, but you can see there how pretty those are for Easter, and all the tulips and the daffodils coming up for spring, now that spring has sprung. And so that's what's coming up. So I'm going to be working on that. Yep, so here's the whole thing that I have so far. And I'm really enjoying using up all this stash. I'm still having, I still have half a skein of each left over, and I'm probably going to use them for kids' socks. What are they doing? Kids are playing with the dogs downstairs. It's making me a little crazy. Would you get Angus a chair too, please?
Angus, I'll get you a chair.
You want the yellow one? No. Do you want the green one? No, you want the blue one?
No.
Oh, the red one.
Want me to get you the red one?
Has to be the last one, right? So anyway, I am really enjoying knitting along with this. It's just mindless garter with a bit of extra on the ends to make a nice border edge, which you can see here is nice and neat. I hope you can see that. And so it's just, and it's going to be a really beautiful warm blanket, and I'm really excited about it. So
it's gonna be warm.
it is. Let's see. So, okay. Now, the other thing. Oh, that's the wrong bag. Oh, here. It's in the smaller bag. I'm also knitting up one of my advent calendars from December, and it is. Here it is. So I'm knitting it up into a shawl. It's the Waxing Moon Shawl by Emily O'Brien, and I'm using 6 and 7 Fibers 2022 Advent. And basically the theme of this Advent was women writers or women in fiction. So I'm on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm on the 5th color. I'm on the 5th color, and So you can see here, get that yarn out of there. So you can see here, it's a sort of a wedge based shape. Lots of short rows. They're on needles that are a little too short, and it'll block out even bigger. So, and it's garter stitch, so it's going to be nice and squishy and warm. And the reason I chose another shawl, I haven't knit a lot of shawls because I don't typically wear a lot of shawls. But after doing the Mountain Musing stole, I wore that a lot. And so and thank you, babe.
Mama.
I love you, baby.
It's my mama.
I am your mama.
Mama.
Oh, I love you too, baby. You guys, I love you.
I love both of you.
Oh, yeah. You love your brother. Is he your buddy? Mm-hmm. You love your sister? Is she your buddy? Yeah. Okay. Enough mushy stuff. Okay. So because I had that stole and I wore it a lot, I decided that I would love to have another shawl just to keep my shoulders warm. Baby, please don't do that right now. So this shawl is, it's circular, more like kind of like a cape, and it's gorgeous, and it's got this beautiful cabling detail up the side, and then it's got eyelets between the color changes, and I just love it. So I'm working on that. And while I'm trying to get the Stockbridge done, it hasn't gotten a lot of work on it, but it is getting some. Yeah. So then I have very little left over from each 20-gram mini. So I decided, but I am trying to use up everything, and so I decided, and I've got very little on here, to make the 10-stitch blanket with all the leftovers. And you can see here I've got 5 of the colors. And you can see how much it varies, how much I've got left over. And so, it is so small, isn't it? So
teeny tiny.
it is that teeny tiny, isn't it? So when I finish a color, I put it on the shawl. All right, babe, don't do that. So I'm using up every bit of it, and I'm probably, so when I finish that shawl and I go to work on the next advent, I'll put that on this blanket as well. So this blanket is going to be my leftovers from my advents as just a nice scrappy blanket. And so there we go. And I haven't decided on what the other advents are going to be. I'm just sort of letting that percolate while I work on other projects. Shh, honey, hush. And so the other project that is starting to get some work on it, they are socks, and they are, oh, I guess I didn't use a pattern. So it's just because it's a babe, stop please. It's a self-striping yarn, so I'm just doing a 64 stitch plain vanilla sock using the autumn campfire or something. What is it called? It's Mustache Yarns Campfire. And so I've been knitting these when I take the kids out for activities, which we're starting to do more of now. So it's starting to get some love. You can see that I've turned the heel. And the heel and cuff are from leftovers from Mandi's makings, the coffee and chicory colorway. So I'm making those socks, and those are getting a little bit of work. So that's what I've been working on. I did... See, do I have anything left of this? No, I frogged it. Oh no, I've got a little bit here. So I started working on a Sophie-esque scarf, but I'm having it branch out both ways, but at a faster increase rate. And I don't know, something just keeps happening to it that I don't end up working on it. And then I forgot how often I was increasing. And then I decided I didn't like how often or how seldom it was increasing. And so then I decided to frog it. But I still want to make one because I kind of like something like the Sophie scarf, but that goes out, that comes out in both directions evenly instead of forming sort of a shallow triangle. So those are all my works in progress. Okay, so now that, we've talked about all the knitting, now it's time for the life stuff. If you're not interested, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. If you are interested, here's what's been going on. Put that down. So as you could tell from the baby photos, baby Evie made her arrival safe and sound, and she is growing big and strong. She did in fact wait for her induction date, so she was born just past 38 weeks. I did not end up needing an emergency induction, and the induction at 38 weeks went lightning fast, fastest labor ever, like 7.5 hours. Who knew that was possible for me? So, and it went so fast that I really didn't believe that it had happened because I'm used to these really long labors, and it just ramped up and got really intense, and I went through transition not realizing I was in transition, just realizing that it really, really sucked. And the nurses that I had were really good. They helped me with positions for making sure she was descending properly, and they were just really good. So we get to the point where I'm basically through transition, but I don't realize it. And when I had last been checked, I had made almost no progress. And so I was like, I'm not checking again. I felt like at the last check that I should have been much more dilated than I was. But apparently that was just my body getting ready to dilate. My feeling of the labor progressing very quickly was in fact exactly what was happening. It's just the check didn't line up with the progress that my body was about to make. So probably if they had checked a half an hour or an hour later, things would have been much different. Because 3 hours later she was born after that last check. And so anyway, by the time, so 3 hours had passed since my last check, and I am sure that I am not ready. It's only been 7 hours, almost 7.5. And I am just losing my marbles because transition is terrible. It's awful. It's horrible and intense. And transition for me usually lasts several hours, and it sucks. Maybe it lasts several hours for most women. I don't know. But for me, it's torturous. And I hate it. I think every woman hates it. And so I am just losing it. And I tell the doctor who comes in to check me that I can't do this another 12 hours. She's going to have to cut me open for a C-section because I can't handle this another 3 hours. And she's like, well, let's just check and see where you are, and then we'll make some decisions. And she checked, and she's like, you're fully, completely dilated, and her head is right there. You just need to push. And I'm like, I can do that. So I pushed, and she was born just a few minutes later, and there we go. So unmedicated labor sucks, but it's doable. I wish epidurals worked for me. They just don't. I did get an epidural this time about 10 minutes before she was born. I started pushing involuntarily while they were finishing the epidural, and because I thought I had another 12 hours, and so I'm like, let's just do the epidural. No, I was finishing transition. So they get the epidural in, and I'm like, okay, I can't feel my thighs, but I can feel everything else. Like, this sucks. I can't do this for 12 hours. You don't have to. You can push now. I can do this. So the last 10 minutes and the pushing were, except for the last 10 minutes, were unmedicated. And then the last 10 minutes were medicated, but somehow it didn't block the pelvis. But I couldn't feel my legs. Whatever. So she came out fat and sassy and happy, and we stayed in the hospital a couple days. I think it's like 2 days, just for them to double check my blood pressure and how things were going, and do the blood work to see if I was developing any preeclampsia. So we came home. I started spiking the blood pressure then, and ended up in the ER, and then I was in contact with my provider, checking my blood pressure, and then upping the blood pressure medication, doubling it. I think we doubled it 4 times before it finally was under control. And my liver enzymes were fine, so it was not preeclampsia like it was with Angus. But it was not fun. So during all of this, my milk supply tanked as well, and so I was on Reglan to boost that up. And even with the drop in milk supply, we were ready to start supplementing her with formula, but she always seemed mostly satisfied after the breast. And so I just pumped to boost the supply, and she would drink the milk, and then we were ready to add. So I think in all she had half an ounce of formula, and then after that was fine. But pumping every 3 hours is not fun. Every 3 hours around the clock is not fun. But on the Reglan, so I noticed the dip start, and I had an appointment with my doctor the next day, and I let her know, look, it's tanked. I tried to pump and I get nothing, which for me, I typically respond really well to the pump, and she is not satisfied at the breast. The breast is not feeling full ever. La 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 la. So Reglan, the next day, I'm feeling better. Things are ramping up, and by the end of the week, I feel like my supply is rebounded, and she'd already had her 3-day appointment and was fine. And then she had an appointment a week later, and she was back on track with growth, and was no problem. And now she's fat and sassy, and so we're thrilled with that. So my health-wise, things are going really well. The blood pressure is still higher than we'd like, but it can take 6 months for it to taper back down to normal. So we're watching that. I'm actually off all of the medications now, so that's actually a really good sign. I think with Angus with the preeclampsia, I was still on it. I was on it for a couple months more. I think I was on it for 6 months before I was able to wean off, and now I've been able to wean off already. Past couple weeks, especially, my blood pressure has really dropped. It's still high, still borderline for treatment, but we've decided just to stick with the fact that it's in levels that in a non-postpartum hypertension situation you wouldn't treat with medication. So we're just going with that. Even though it's still high for me, it's not dangerous at all. So we're good with that. So aside from that, I have been feeling really strong, and that, I have not felt run over. A lot of times after one of the births, I would feel, a little bit run over after the initial, oxytocin high of the first week or so of newborn happiness. I would, I'm tired now. I really have not felt that. I have felt very strong, and my body is back to its normal plump state from when, I'm back to my pre-pregnancy weight. And was right away. And so we have started, my husband had some leave, and we have really enjoyed having that time, and he's back to work now, sadly. But while he was off, we started doing more activities with the kids out, taking all of them out to go do stuff, and I'm wearing her, and I feel great. And one of the moms at one of the other homeschool activities that we do, she's like, "You look great. You don't look like you just had a baby at all." So you look fantastic. Thank you. I love you. You're my new best friend. So that made me feel really good that I look good, and because I feel good, and sometimes I have felt good but not looked good after a baby. So I'm just glad that I'm looking good and feeling good. So other stuff, we are getting ducks, and I'm really excited. We have planned out the garden, and we've extended the garden quite a bit, so we should be able to get a good portion, at least in the summer and fall, of food that we've grown ourselves. And we should, as soon as the ducks start laying, we'll probably have as many eggs as we would like without having to buy eggs. And the children have already named them. Delilah, Potato, after Potato Dog apparently, Chica, and goodness, I've forgotten. I will have to ask and remember. I'll put it here what the other name is. So we're excited about that. So we're only going to have 4 ducks, and we're not, big egg eaters. We're just sort of gently getting into it, and if we decide to breed them for meat as well, then we'll get a drake. But for right now, we're just going to do the females and collect the eggs. And so that's like the homesteady stuff. We've about doubled our garden space, and that took some work. But we're really excited to be able to do that. We got the kids putting together some of the garden seedlings as part of their homeschooling, and we've been doing a bunch of history. We dyed up some Easter eggs, or painted some fake eggs to hang from some tree branches. I only have one branch, so I haven't hung it from there. I've just hung it from one of the windows. And so we're back full swing doing all the homeschooling. We've added some homeschool activity classes out in town, and we're doing more homesteady stuff. So life has been really busy. And I'm doing some redecorating. Our oldest 2 daughters are now going to be sharing a room, and the youngest 3 will be sharing a room, although the baby will stay with us until 1.5 years at least, maybe 2 years. So the toddler and the 6-year-old that you just saw will be sharing a room, and they already are, and they really like that. So we're doing some redecorating. I'm going to be working on redoing the downstairs bathroom. So lots of home repair, redecoration stuff going on, and I'll probably post about that as we work on it. I've been doing some training with the dogs. The border collie, I'm gonna work with her on herding, because she's never herded before. She's 8 years old, and I've contacted a trainer to train with her to herd our ducks, and I think she'll do pretty well. She's not aggressive really with other animals. She's not aggressive with people either. She's excitable, as border collies are, but I think giving her this job to do will make her very happy. She's tended to have anxiety, I think, because she hasn't had a border collie job, and so now we're working with her to train her to do that. So that's everything. That's life here in its entirety. And it's spring has sprung here, and it's absolutely beautiful. So I've gotten some deck knitting in the afternoons after school, and just loving it. So not excited for summer, But whatever. We'll get to summer knitting then, I guess. So I hope you guys out there in the world have been having a good winter and spring now that it's begun, and hope you've got what keeps you sane, helping you along. Bye.